going. So you're training in social media marketing, and because of that, are you wanting to go after grants or
You
what?
know, we have a team that meet at 10 o'clock. So in fact, they meet, ooh, I'm gonna see if I can get them on with you. Because we've been meeting for almost, I don't know, at least 8 months.
Hmm.
And we only got two grants, two little grants, one kind of a.
Look, you're still winning. There are people that have been trying for years that haven't gotten a grant.
Right,
So
yeah.
you're winning.
Okay, so I'm gonna.
Well, hello, young people.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good, good. I
That's good.
I'm excited to see you guys on, and oh my God, Deborah, it's been so many years.
Yeah, it's 15. Well, 15 is when we started. So maybe
Yeah, yeah.
8 years since Bernie died.
Um, God, has it been that long?
It's been that long. Yeah.
Hasn't it been like four? He
No.
died with COVID.
Well, it was just before then because
Yeah,
you know,
but isn't that something? But at least we met because of him.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
know.
I hope that we can do some great things because I've completed my online training program, vocal training program.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm wanting to market that.
Training, is that the training?
Vocal training.
Uh, okay, because I wanted to know, were you still doing the vocal?
Yeah, online vocal training program. And I'm also building youth gospel choirs all over the world.
Outstanding, outstanding. Well, well, definitely there's funding for it. You want to look at the dollars that are there for, well, you know what? Let's give everyone a moment. Let's give them like one more minute. Um, and then
Okay,
I
that's
would
good.
just jump right in because I try and cover a whole lot in that hour.
Right, yeah.
Um,
So
so just make note to remind me to talk about the funding that's there for developing the choirs and singing.
okay.
And so where are you now? What city are you
I'm
in?
in Provo, Utah.
Okay, okay. Now you weren't always there though, weren't you like in Michigan or
I was
something?
in Vegas, but I'm from Michigan. I was
Okay,
trying to do something in Flint, and
okay. I thought you were in Michigan. Okay.
that's
See,
where
I
I'm from.
remember. I remember.
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
I've had that dream and desire for a long time to try to help
yeah,
them.
yeah. Well, I'm in Arkansas now.
Yeah, I see.
Oh yeah. I mean, my chickens are walking around and my goats are right there. And that's one of the things that has made it really wonderful is that I'm able to show people that you can live all the layers of who you are, and grant funding can allow you to do it. You can still run your business, all of that. And I'm doing that same thing. I'm doing the exact same thing as far as my business, attending fewer meetings, not being in traffic in Los Angeles,
Oh,
all that good stuff.
yeah.
I
And
see the
having
advantage
peace and
to me.
quiet.
And and just the peace. I'm going to shift a little bit because I've been
Okay.
sitting
So
outside.
if I have another person that I want to join, how can I get them to?
You can just send them the link.
Can you send him a link?
Let me see if I can.
This person right here. This
Send them
person.
the link.
Yeah.
Oh,
It should be if you go to the Gmail.
yeah, where was her Gmail
Oh,
then?
maybe it was the Outlook one.
Yeah. It's this link.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to send to him and I want to send it to Heather.
So while we're doing this, since it's 11 now, I'm just going to go in and start. A lot of times people register, but they're at work. So they just register and they'll send in their questions and then they'll listen to the recording later. So I'm going to show my screen.
Yes.
Yeah, we should. Can we?
Oh,
Can we record
Are
it?
you recording it, ma'am?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's recording. She can send it to.
Oh, we can. Can we record it
we
too?
can record if you.
Is that okay if we record it?
I think you can.
You know how to do that? Record
Just
it?
with my phone. I
But
don't
you'll
know.
also get the link, the recording link since you're registered,
Oh, yeah, you'll get
and
the.
the
So,
recording
Oh.
too.
That'll be
So,
great.
so
Okay.
do you see my screen?
okay.
Yeah.
You see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm just going to type in grants, comma, and singing.
That should be the same link that was
Okay.
sent to
I'm gonna
us.
say, please, what did I say?
Please join the same.
Join it right now.
So you guys see that simple search that I put in?
Yes.
Branson singing, uh-huh.
Just grants and singing, and look at what comes up. Okay. And you can switch it and put in. Now, when I put more than one word together, like vocal music, I put it in quotes to lock those words together. And it brings up a different pot of money.
Okay.
Hmm,
Even scholarships.
that's what you guys need.
So see, through your organization, you could be getting scholarships to also, funding to give scholarships to young people that are in your program. Okay.
Okay, can you find, let me see, Jonathan? I want to tell him to.
And so let's say that you also want to start teaching someone to do what you do in being a vocal coach. So you can have multiple vocal coaches, right?
Yeah,
That's
right.
just helping with entrepreneurship.
Oh, okay.
And there's funding for entrepreneurs.
And in small business, small minority businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't the government trying to shut that down?
Shutting down funding for small businesses.
Minority businesses.
Well, they can't shut it down with all funders. See, all money doesn't come just from the government. Grant funding comes from everywhere. Target, look at how much Target gives a week. I think it'll show it. Target gives 5% of their money a week. That's like $5 million a week in grant funding that Target alone gives.
Hmm.
So there's a misconception that people think all grant funding or most grant funding comes from government. That's not true. So the government cannot tell Target not to give grant funding for whatever they want to give funding for. So even whoever's in power, whatever they may change as far as where they're directing their dollars is, see, what happens with grants from the government side, it depends on who's in the house. So it's just like, Deborah, if you leave your house to your sister, she's going to run your house differently than the way you ran it. So she may change where she directs your dollars to go. That's for your household. But then when you come back, you will run it the way you run it. And that's what happens with funding. That's why sometimes there's school funding that's cut, there's programs that are cut because of lack of funding. That's because who's ever in the house have felt like it's more important to direct the dollars to housing or to veterans, or maybe there's a war going on. So they've upped the ante on how much they're giving for developing weapons. So then school budget cuts a lot of times are the first thing to cut, you know? So that's what happens when it comes to government funding, but there's still so much other money. I want you guys to see, like, here's one of my chickens there. I don't know if you can see her.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
She likes hanging over here by me. The chicken coop is further over, but this one, I call her Nicole Kidman because she's tall. She's really taller than the other chickens. She's slim, she's white, she's beautiful. So she just I name all my animals based on who they remind me of. So you guys just met Nicole Kidman. So anyway, so that's just a little bit on why things change. And a lot of times too with school funding, that one of the first things that will be cut is like the arts, because they feel like that's not as important as math or whatever, but that's so wrong. Because
I'm so sorry. I just had someone join this link, but that's not how to get in. They have to register, right?
Hey Beverly, Yes,
Oh,
they have.
there he is. He's
No,
there.
they're
Okay,
there.
he's there. Okay.
Yes,
I'm so sorry.
yes, yes. So so hello,
Hello.
and um,
Hi.
uh,
This is
I I was just showing you guys,
Jonathan. He's
um,
been helping us with grants for the last at least 8 months.
good, 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 and congratulations on getting some.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a little
Oh,
more challenging than you think, but it's great when you do get it.
well, anytime when you're going after funding, whether it's grants or investors, isn't it kind of challenging?
There's definitely an art to it, and I think we're learning it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is that a lot of times people think that going after grants is going to be a simpler process than going after like a small business loan or investor or anything else. But all of them, the same thing that you're writing in a grant application is pretty much what you're writing, whether you're submitting to a bank for a loan or whatever. They want to know, what is your business? In the nonprofit arena, they call it, what is your program or project? Who are you going to be serving? What are the pros and cons of that business surviving or that program surviving? Why is it needed? I mean, those are the same things that are asked no matter what the business, but people just have a different expectation when they start writing grants. They think it's going to be, oh, there's money available and it's free money and we can just submit. No, you've got to have a plan, and you've got to show that it is a viable business, okay, or project, because nobody just wants to drop their dollars into a black hole that, yes, they'll fund you that one time, but then afterwards the program disappears. No, they want to see that it's going to be something that can be ongoing. And also, now I've got questions that have been sent in, and thank you everyone for being on. For those of you that are, if they get a little loud, you guys, my chicken is standing right here. She's saying hello. So,
Sherita, can you just tell us who you are, what you've done, how long you've been doing it, so that we have an idea?
okay. My organization is the Philanthropy Alliance Foundation. Prior to that, the name was the Creative Images Foundation with a K. I have been writing grants and developing nonprofits since 1994. Since that time, I've developed over 600 organizations. Well, now close to probably 700, raised over 32 million. And I work with from organizations that are on the ground, like on Skid Row in Los Angeles, working with the homeless, to I have been flown to Mexico to work with the first couple, former President Vicente Fox and his wife, to help train their staff and train those major investors on how to also become philanthropists. What Vicente Fox wants to do is to create the same kind of format in the grants and nonprofit arena that exists in the United States. And most countries are starting to mimic that, because people don't realize the impact that the nonprofit arena has to also that affects your gross domestic profit. Um, the nonprofit arena is the third largest business sector in the United States, and most people aren't aware of that. They kind of treat the nonprofit arena like it's the stepchild of business. Oh, I've got this little nonprofit. Well, it's little because, I mean, I hate to say it, because most people don't know what they're doing. But if you operate it in the same fashion that you operate your for-profit business, you would definitely see results. So anyway, I've been in this arena more than 30 years and have worked with countless professional athletes, celebrities, some who you may know, Hilary Swank, the late Jim Brown, Jalen Rose, Anthony Anderson, Kim Coles, and I can go on and on. But anyway, so I've got a long history in this arena. Before I go to the questions, do any of you that are new on the call, do you have any questions? None? Okay. So Sunny from Orlando, she sent in a question and she asked, can a nonprofit use Cash App? Absolutely. A nonprofit can receive funding from any through any source that a donor may want to give, but just understand that depending on the electronic transfer system that you use, they will take funds. Now, Zelle, a lot of people do Zelle payments, and that's bank to bank, and it doesn't take any of the funds that you receive. But there are also two other I've heard of, and many others, but like Zephy, and I'm going to put Zephy and GiveSmart in the chat so that you guys can look at those a little later. And Sunny, I know that you're not on the call, but you will see it when you get to the recording. So I'm just going to stick these in the chat, and you guys can cut and paste those out. But they'll also, the things that I put in the chat, I also will make a part of the recap when you get the recording, and this information be in the recap. Okay. Now, also, the next question, Priscilla from Odenton, Maryland, she asked how to get started with grant funding. Well, that's a vague question, first of all, because it's hard to say, Priscilla, because I don't know what kind of funding you're going to be looking for. But I'm just going to give an overview, or there's like 5 major things that you want to make sure that you are aware of how to do when you're going after grant funding, no matter what kind of grant you're going after. You want to be able to thoroughly describe why you're seeking the grant. What is your program? Is it a program that is needed at the time? What are the details of your program or services? And then 2, you want to be clear on who your target population is. Now, I'm giving you the language that's used in the nonprofit arena and with grant funders when I say target population. In the for-profit arena, they're called your customers or your clients. But when you're stepping into this arena, you have to be able to use the language that's used in this industry. So it's your target population. So who are you serving? Who are your programs targeting? Are you serving youth? And are they ages 5 to 13? Or are you focused on adult and women? Or are you focused on minorities or the BIPOC population? So you want to be clear and make sure that you're clear in your narrative of who you're serving. 3, you want to be able to explain why your program or service is needed. All grant funding is there to address a need. So you want to be clear in your narrative on why this particular program or service that you're offering or that you're seeking funding for is needed. And there has to be a need. Anytime you're asking for money, that's in the for-profit or nonprofit arena, there's a need for whatever you're doing. Even if it's a grocery store, you're showing that you're placing a grocery store in an area that's devoid of a grocery store at the moment, that the closest grocery store is 10 miles away or 5 miles away or whatever. So there's a need, right? And then 5, when you're designing your budget, which is usually the very first thing that people want to do when they're going after a grant, but it's hard to design a really good budget if you don't have your program strategy designed, because your budget is just your program strategy in numbers. Who are you going to be paying to do the program? How many people are going to be in the program, which will also dictate how many materials you're going to need or supplies, or how big of a space which you will be putting in the grant to cover your venue or your space. So the way that you design your program is that will dictate how you design your budget and the amount of money you're going to be requesting. So make sure that your budget and your narrative match. There shouldn't be any surprises in your budget. Meaning if they've totally read through your narrative and you are, for instance, a women's empowerment program, and then now when they look at your budget, there's 50,000 in there for cameras, for video cameras. But you didn't mention anything about documenting the program with cameras or having camera operators. So then that's a surprise in the budget. There should be no surprises in the budget. Whatever they see in the budget should have been spoken of in the narrative. So that's it in brief, Priscilla. And a very good site especially for people that are new in this arena, is there's the 20 best websites for grant seekers. And you guys, I'm going to put that in the chat. And I'm also going to bring it up. So I'm going to go and show my screen and just show you this. And if you guys have questions as I'm talking, even if it's off subject, always feel free to stop me. I don't mind stopping. I thrive off of questions. So, hey, Michelle. Hi, Wesleyan. Hey, cousin. Got 2 cousins on. Okay, let me show my screen.
Hey, Shuby.
How are you, darling? Okay, so this site, like I said, the 20 websites for grant seekers. It is showing you grant funding sites, like the Foundation Center directory is what I use, the Foundation Center. And this is what I use for grant funding, but I also am going to put this in the chat so that you guys will have it. GuideStar, I just showed you, different nonprofit organizations. And then like the Nonprofit Times, I get that. I mean, there's a lot of these that I get emails from to show me when there's updates with grants and just all kinds of things. So these are good places to start for when you are just stepping into this arena. So again, I'm going to put this in the chat. Let's see. You guys, now, like I said, the last call, I've been trying to decide, should I keep this up on a monthly basis? Because you would be amazed how many calls or emails, even texts, and I even sometimes don't even go in Messenger because of all the questions that I get about grants or whatever, which is why I started doing this. I get more than 8 a week or 10 a week. I get way more than that. But do you know that only 10 people signed up for this? And it's a little frustrating because everybody wants to call and have individual time with me, and I don't have the bandwidth for that, which is why I started this free Q&A every month. But this might be my last one. And I have a meeting, not this week, in 2 weeks, where this is the topic of discussion, but I may stop doing this just because I'm not getting the response based off of how many people want to reach out to me for free. And so the only way that people will receive coaching from me is that you either pay $25 for 15 minutes, 75 for 30 minutes, or 150 for an hour. And I've been trying to not do that. So just kind of giving you guys a warning that this free Q&A might be stopping. So
I just have a question. Is there some way that can, I don't know, the people that are reaching out to you and then the methods that they're reaching out to you, is there a way to put something in the in where they're reaching so that you can let them know, listen, this is the method that we need to use in order for you to get your questions answered?
oh yeah, I've done that. Okay, you guys got that in the chat, right? I've even I got so frustrated in 1 month. I got to show you guys this because sometimes I do want to go in Messenger because people, are trying to reach me, and but it's frustrating because I have to sort through probably 20, 30 messages with people asking me personal questions about grants. So I just pretty much don't go in Messenger. So on Facebook, you probably saw it. I posted, I do not answer questions on email, Messenger, or whatever. And I said, please join me on the free Q&A. And I posted that a few times. But anyway, you guys are just kind of hearing my frustration, and I don't want to take up your time with that. Let me get to the next question. And Beverly, because I've said this before when you were on, and I know that, and you participate faithfully. Michelle is always here. But it's just so frustrating when
Yeah.
I'm not.
And it's so weird that it's like that. And that's why,
Yeah, people want one-on-ones. And I'm like, I'm a small business. Oh, let me get Sherita, my namesake. I call her Sherita too. Sherita is in Pueblo, Colorado. And she says, joining in to listen and perhaps ask about resources for community building in Arizona. But her question is, she's bringing in a friend. Now, Sherita, where are you and your friend? She's bringing in a friend who owns 40 acres and building a growing community, which I'm joining in the fall. So I'm assuming, Sherita, that you guys are wanting to know about the grants in Arizona. And Arizona has several grant programs for agriculture, and including programs that support farmers, local food systems, and livestock operators. And there's the Seeds to Grow Grant Fund, and it's an annual program for Pinnacle Prevention from Pinnacle Prevention. It provides one-time grants up to $10,000, and these are for new people, okay? For farmers and ranchers and minority food producers. The program aims to help create a more sustainable and equitable food program. And you notice they said minority. So Deborah, when you said that the government, that you thought they were stopping grants for minority programs, as you can see, and this actual funding is coming through government funding. Now, there are other funding sources like Arizona Friends of the Farm program. And Friends of the Farm is a pilot farm to food bank program that helps Arizona's small growers and food insecure families with seed money from the office of Governor Ducey. So that's coming through from government funding. The purchasers, they're looking for those that are growing fruits, vegetables. They have dairy and eggs and meat for distribution throughout its network. So I'm getting ready to put in the chat where to find this.
Join this same thing.
But again, it's agriculture, and this is a list of agriculture funding in Arizona. Okay. So I just put that in the chat. And then Jacqueline from Maumelle, Arkansas, she's looking for sustainable programs for composting and food reduction. So Arkansas has several grants also related to waste management and composting, including programs from the USDA and the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality. And so there's also, they said, since 2018, the Zero Hunger and Zero Waste Foundation has directed more than 59 million to organizations that are aligned with our mission. And they support organizations that meet their criteria for transportation needs for food banks and partners. They want organizations that operate mobile pantry programs. They want to increase access to and enrollment in the SNAP programs, provide breakfast after the bell for students at school. They want programs that serve homeless men and women. Also, they want programs that improve nutrition. So I'm going to put that in the chat. And again, we'll also share in the recap.
Well, I have, I guess, these three and three others that's online with me. So that's, I don't know how many. And we're really interested in what would be the best way, in your opinion, to seek out some grants for this choir, this youth choir. It's a transformational youth choir, and it is a movement. It's to transform lives through some tools, as well as job programs.
Now, listen to everything you're saying.
Joining with other nonprofits to help them become what they want to be in life.
Yes, everything that you're saying. You want to search grants, career development, job training, grants, leadership development, grants, self-esteem. See, everything you're doing, think about all the ways that you're impacting those that are part of your choir. And everything that you think of, there's a grant pot of money for that. Just like if you have an after-school program and you've got youth that normally could possibly get into gangs or substance abuse, because young people between the ages of 12 and 18 usually get into those kinds of activities between the hours of 2:30 and 7 p.m. So if you have programs that are operating during that time, then you can go after funding for substance abuse prevention, leadership development, combating crime, pregnancy prevention, all those things that tend to happen with young people during those hours. So don't only look for choir funding or singing funding. It's also you're looking for funding for what are the outcomes that your programs are impacting. Okay? Any other questions? Because those are all the questions that I had submitted. Anything else?
I have a question.
Yes, Miss Deborah. Well, you're there with Deborah.
Well,
What's
I'm
your
with Deborah. I'm with Deborah. Hi, I'm Heather. Um,
Hi, Heather.
as far as a successful nonprofit, what portion, because I've heard it's really important for a nonprofit to have multiple streams of income. What portion of a program's funding is reasonable to go after as far as grants versus corporate sponsorships versus private donors versus fundraisers? Like, what does a well-rounded like sustainable nonprofit look like, since grants aren't always guaranteed, or as we're getting going, because we've been working the last probably 6-8 months applying for, probably applied for 10 grants at this point. We've only gotten one, which I've heard is about average to, you know, about 10% of the grants that you apply for. But what have you found in working with nonprofits, like as far
There is no
as
number.
where you put your energy?
There is no numbers
There's
based
a number. Okay.
on your operating number. I mean, see, there are billion-dollar nonprofits. And so you can't set a number like that. You go after the funding. You can have multiple revenue streams and you go after funding that you need in order to operate your programs. But you also can do fee for service. See, a lot of people think that nonprofits only survive off of grants and sponsorships. No, you can have fee for service. You guys, there are nonprofit bars. There are nonprofit comedy clubs. I mean, museums and art galleries are nonprofits. So, you know, they're getting money in with people paying to have their exhibits in their museums. They're getting paid by ticket sales. They're getting paid by they have gift shops. You know, there's all kinds of revenue coming into those organizations. You guys, NASA is a nonprofit. Most people don't realize the Oscars is through the Oscars Foundation. So any way that you've been thinking about how nonprofits can't make money, take that out of your head. Because Blue Origin, who you know went what's his name, went to the moon, and he oh, what's his name, Bezos, yeah, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
His foundation is how he's doing the major projects as far as space. So what kind of dollar amounts would you put on that, on where he's getting the funding, whether it's from sponsorships or whatever? So that's why I'm saying, now they don't want you in the nonprofit arena. You can't only operate just off of sales like a clothing store, because then that takes you out of being a 501c3 organization. You're just operating as a retail store.
Mm-hmm.
So all your money will not come just from sales. But again, to try and put a dollar amount on it, it's based on your operating budget and your program strategies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did
I think like my question was less dollar amount as far as like proportion, but Deborah's got this amazing vocal training program that's a huge part of why her choirs are so transformational. And that's currently a separate for-profit business. Is it best for those two to stay separate, or would it be better for the nonprofit? Because Your True Voice has been funding the choir, but they haven't been like part of the nonprofit. Does that make sense? Because Deborah's
it can
just
be
been
part of the nonprofit, because without a doubt, she's also offering voice classes to individuals that can't afford it, right?
Right.
So that's why the nonprofit arena exists. It evens the playing field. So you've got people here that can pay for whatever service you might offer, whether you're a lawyer, voice coach, hospital, or whatever. Then you've got people down here that can't afford it. That's why the nonprofit arena and grants exist, because it helps even the playing field and put everyone on the same playing field. whether it's for medical care, voiceover, lawyer services, or whatever. So that's why that can exist under her nonprofit, and grants can cover those costs so that she can offer that service to everyone, even those that normally couldn't afford it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
So I don't want to speak for Deborah. It's just I've just wondered.
You just want to, what, you were trying to say something else?
Oh, I've been trying to help her with the nonprofit and with the voice stuff, and there's places where I've seen the voice stuff fund the nonprofit, but it's been separate, but haven't known like the legalities of taxes or organization or business fundraising, nonprofit fundraising.
Well, see, she can keep her voice. She can keep her voice. She can keep her voice business as a for-profit, but also have a voice business under the nonprofit, so that now she can go after grants to fund when she's doing voiceover under the nonprofit. Okay. And that way it's not pulling from the for-profit.
Okay. Okay. So there could be a clear separation then between this is voice service as part of the nonprofit versus this is my for-profit business,
Right.
selling my very amazing vocal training
Right.
that she does.
Right. It's just like when someone goes into a hospital, if they don't have the very first thing that you walk in when there's in a hospital, and most hospitals are nonprofit unless they say privately owned. So when you first walk into a nonprofit, what do they, into a hospital, what do they ask you for?
Insurance.
For insurance.
Intake form.
So they're asking you for insurance. So they're actually asking you for money because they know that that's how they're going to get paid. So if you don't have insurance, they may go in and have you fill out the form, but next they're going to have you go to the financial aid office. And in that financial aid office, that's where the grant funding exists, that they have gotten either from state, federal funding, whatever, so that now you fill out the paperwork and now that's being paid from the grant side.
Okay.
It's just most people don't realize that's how it's happening. So you could be doing the same thing, Deborah. You can have your for-profit, but you also have a voiceover program under your nonprofit, so that when you have individuals that come, that still doesn't mean that you can't have someone come to your nonprofit, be under your voiceover program, and they can pay your full fee. See, that's the other thing. People think that when you're nonprofit that you don't also have full fee that people can pay. No, if your fee is $5,000, a person can come to your nonprofit and still pay that $5,000. It's just for those that don't, you have the grant funding available. Maybe they can only pay $200. The grants are going to cover that other $4,800. Or if someone else can pay $2,500, that's why the hospital sends that individual to the financial aid office. They have to present what kind of income they have coming in, so that now that financial aid person can say how much money now their funding can cover and how much that individual will have to cover based off their income. You guys with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
So you can do the same thing under your nonprofit. You don't just go willy-nilly and say, oh, everybody's free. No, you can base it off of their income. Oh, Joanne pays $500. Sam Jones pays $2,000, but they all don't know that. It's just like when you're laying in the hospital bed next to someone that's had the same surgery, you don't know whether they're covered by full insurance, Medicaid, or covered totally free by the hospital. All you know is you both got the same surgery because you're talking about it. But it comes from different pots of money based off of when you walked in that door, whether you had insurance or not. So when someone comes to your nonprofit, their fee, you can have a sliding scale fee, so that you're preserving your grant funding that you've received. You've written a grant to say that you want to serve 500 people over the year, based off with an estimate of maybe $1,000 for each of those people. And that's what got your grant. But still, you may have others that's coming in and paying the full fee. Others don't need as much of the fee. And this is how you are doing money management within your organization to preserve your dollars.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Thank you so much for that information. That's going to change everything.
Yeah. Again, you guys, a lot of times people think that nonprofits exist only off of grants and, donations. No, you definitely can have fee for service. Okay.
Sharita, just a follow-up question to that. If you set it up in such a way that the nonprofit is charging a fee for services, yeah, there is accounting that goes into that where the income that gets recognized is accounted for, and then is shown as part of the income on the nonprofit and reported under the Form 990. So it's basically a business like any other business, only the
Yes.
difference is that it's accounted for in a different way. It's accounted for as a tax-free under a Form 990 as opposed to an 1120 or other entity type tax form. So it's sort of parallel accounting as well as as well as parallel tracking of revenue.
The same way that you have to track different revenue in the for-profit arena, even a grocery store, they're tracking how much they might spend on butter versus the beef, because by watching their inventory, they know how much they need to order, right? So if they weren't tracking it separately, they'd never know how much butter to order for the month or beef to order or how many turkeys to order based off of last year's when they were preparing for Thanksgiving, right? So see, in every business, you're tracking where the dollars are being spent so that you can know how to run your business effectively and you won't run out of something, right? So the thing is, in any business, you are tracking how the dollars are spent, how the dollars come in, so that you are utilizing it in the right category.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just when people think about it in the nonprofit arena, they think it's way more different and make it more difficult when actually every business tracks. You track in your house how much you spend on your electrical bill. That's how you know that every summer your bill's going to go up because you've been tracking. You track how much you spend on groceries. You know that when the kids come home from college, your grocery bill is going to double. You know, because you're tracking. So we track in everything that we do. And that's why I tell people just relax because you're doing it every day anyway. It's just we always make it more difficult, and thinking about it, we make it more difficult when we step into the nonprofit arena.
So just to kind of close that thought out, as you had described that the voice company could be set up under the nonprofit as well as continuing to run itself as a for-profit. What you'd need to do in that case is you'd need to track the income from the voice company that relates to the nonprofit, and likewise the income that relates to the for-profit. So it's just a matter of tracking the income and allocating it to the right bucket.
Mm-hmm. The same way like with our YMCA, when I was the director at the YMCA there at Century in Vermont in Los Angeles, we got a major grant from the Lakers. And so our youth basketball program became the Junior Lakers program. And we saw how much of that money came in, and that money was allocated for that. So we knew that whether we were buying uniforms or paying the coaches or travel team or whatever, that was coming from that bucket of money. Also, our child care center, people were paying fees for their child care. Some of the women were on Crystal Stairs, some of the families, and they were free because they were paid by the Crystal Stairs funding that we got in, where others were paying $400 a week. But that's in the child care bucket. Then we get fees for aquatics, but we also got a grant to run a free aquatics program, so it's the same thing. You're getting different grants from different resources, but you're tracking how that money is spent so that you have enough for that department or that program.
Yeah, those are great examples. Thank you for explaining that.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Now, I'm just showing you a few where there's voice nonprofits. So like this is the Let me show my screen. Is my screen showing?
Mhm.
Yes.
Let's see. So this is the Conway Institute of Music, and they have voice classes. Okay, so I'm showing you that there are nonprofit, and all I typed in, let me go back, nonprofit voice lessons. Let's put quotes around here to make sure that we lock these in and spell it correctly. So what I'm saying is I'm not telling you anything that others aren't already doing. Artsmart.org. And see, they're a nonprofit and they do voice lessons and they mentor individuals and students. The Kaufman Music Center. All kids need music. Okay. That help?
Mhm.
Any other questions?
You showed us some nonprofits early on before everybody came on. Can you pull that up again, where you can get, where there may be grants for music programs or for music?
Just grants, comma, music programs. 17,000 active grants, 29.1 billion. Grants for arts projects, Grants 101, funding opportunities for school music, grants for music education, music programs from the Bohemian Foundation. Now, let's switch it up a little. Let's even put in youth. It brings up different funders. You notice it even starts out different. So I want you to see that, use your tickler words. I call them tickler words. Use the right words and it will bring up other funding for you. 10 music education grants. Grants for music education, band, instrument, and program. Again, music grants and scholarships. Okay. 100,000 Mac Miller Fund grant to support YMCA youth. And it just goes on and on. Now, they even have youth development. You know, like Deborah, I said, there's key words. So let's see, youth and leadership development. Because you're also doing that, right?
Yes.
So it opens up a whole lot more money in a different area. Grants for youth programs, support leadership development. 5 youth development leadership grant programs. The Annie Casey Foundation Leadership Development Fund. So, and then let's do this. Let's take this out and put in, you have folks seeing good, and they're even going to be fighting against bullying prevention. That's a whole nother pot of money. So again, all the different things that also go along with how your program is impacting those involved in your program, you can be going after that funding. Now, when who was it that, what's the young lady and you were asking me about Deborah's music program and the nonprofit, and you were saying about how much money can come from the different sources?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to show you, when I said that there are nonprofit bars and nonprofit comedy clubs. This is the Blue Room. It is a bar. It has artists come there. It promotes jazz, but it is under the American Jazz Museum. It is a nonprofit, but that facility serves liquor. See, nonprofits can also serve liquor. I mean, how often have you guys gone to a nonprofit event and there's a bar there? And the liquor's not free. You have to buy that liquor. Okay. So see, but you don't think anything about it then. But then I've had people to say, you mean they can be a nonprofit and have liquor? You were just at a fundraiser and had liquor. Okay. But the liquor that is sold by this organization is taxable. A nonprofit can have taxable and non-taxable income. But most people that want to go and listen to jazz, what else do they want to do while they're sitting there? Drink. So
True.
if they didn't have liquor there, they probably wouldn't get the people in there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just showing you that there are different kinds of nonprofits and there's different kinds of revenue that can come into a nonprofit.
So nonprofits can have both taxable and untaxable revenue.
Absolutely.
So merchandise, is that taxable or untaxable?
It depends on the kind of merchandise that you're selling. Like a YMCA, if they're selling, you know, caps that say YMCA and it's totally all the dollars go right back into the youth basketball program, then that's just part of program operations.
Right.
And but the liquor has nothing to do with actual community programs. Liquor is totally separate. So this is where you have to see, okay, what are you selling? Okay.
So like a banquet or something, if like we did like a fundraising banquet concert for the choir, like the tickets for that event, that would be going totally back into the event. So that would be untaxable, right?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Now, also understand that separate states have different laws for nonprofits. So just like how some states, even if a nonprofit, oh, what was it? Because someone called me and something about they were trying to get a venue or something at a hotel, but the hotel was still charging them the taxes. Where when they were in another state, that state didn't charge them taxes. Each state can decide differently as far as things, as far as nonprofits. Okay. And then there are some things that are federally exempt and tax exempt across the board, across the US.
Okay.
So it will also dictate. Beverly, you've got your hand up, my dear. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You were still talking to Deborah. All right. So I have my question is this. As I was waiting for my nonprofit to get approved, I kind of lost focus. So now that it's done, and now I know that the next, I don't know what my next step is. I don't know if I need to get the bank account set up first, or do I have to have any meetings first? I kind of
get the bank account set up, because suppose someone wants to give to you tomorrow.
Okay.
And I want to give through Zelle. So the bank account is always the very first thing that you should set up.
Okay.
Because there's nothing dictating how much you put in it, or that it has to be a certain limit but you want to have everything in place for the just in case. Okay. And then the next thing you want to do, Beverly, because you're going to be taking caregivers like on a retreat to the Caribbean or something. So you want to make sure that you're developing those relationships with those caregivers. So that as you're going after funding, you can name how many caregivers are part of your program. All right.
And the question about the banking, you know how they generally, if you don't have a certain amount of money in there, they charge you a fee. As a nonprofit, would they charge me a fee for that?
Every bank is different.
Okay.
So they may even say that you need to keep a minimum of $100 in there, and then they may not charge you any other fees.
Okay.
So if there's a bank that is forcing you or taking away because you don't have a certain amount in there, I'd change banks.
Okay, gotcha. All right then. And then the meetings, having the meetings, that's something that I just have to get started on setting that up, I would imagine.
Yeah, and because you don't have programs maybe operating right now, you can set your board meetings for bi-monthly or something. But meet with your board so that they may be giving you ideas, or you want to make sure that your board stays involved. So let them know your planning and development that you're doing. And you guys, there's grant funding for planning and development. As you are thinking of what to do, you know, start looking at planning and development dollars. Let me show my screen again.
At what point is the board, like it's definite, like we had a meeting of people that I wanted to be on the board. What would make it official that they are board members?
Have them, it could be as simple as them sending an email saying that they agree to be on your board. But there are, just like Deborah, when we did your nonprofit, if I'm not mistaken, I was including a board signature sheet where it kind of gave them a brief of what it would look like to serve on the board, and they signed, and it said that it was going to be a 2-year term, but they can still terminate at any time, something like that. You guys see my screen?
Mhm.
Yes.
And then look, planning and development. So while you're deciding and just planning and still having your board meetings, I mean, they would like to see that you're having your board meetings. So you guys, that's even more of a reason to have board meetings and talk about the discussions that you're having with your board, and say our board members so-and-so and so-and-so told us about 3 contacts that we're going and meeting with next month to do da-da-da-da-da-da-da, you know, but that's the kind of information that will be going into your planning and development narrative for your planning and development grants. So I just want you guys to see that there's money out there for planning and development. Planning and development grants can help organizations with early stages of program planning and development, such as research, stakeholder feedback, and project planning. They can also provide temporary support to launch activities while working towards long-term funding. Okay? So look at planning and development funding.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
Would you happen to know off the top of your head how many board meetings needs to be had a year?
I would suggest, if you're not meeting monthly, I would do bi-monthly.
Okay, I mean, because I meet monthly, but after you said something, I thought maybe because I don't be talking about nothing every month.
Yeah. Well, if not, you can always just let your board know that there, you know, no changes have taken place this month, so we will be meeting next month. But also, you know, you can do your meetings via Zoom the same way we're on now.
Well, yeah, that's how I do it.
Okay.
That's how I do it. And then Beverly, I said that's what I gave my board members when the forms that she gave us in the nonprofit class. I just gave them, I think one's for them to actually read like the responsibilities, and then one something else, and they actually signed it.
Yeah.
And Deborah, if you don't have anything like that, I mean, I've worked with you with your nonprofit, just send me an email to remind you, and I can send you the email that I distribute for board members for you to send to your board members. Okay. Anything else? Miss Westland, I'm surprised you're so quiet, girl, because you are a mover and shaker. You always have stuff to say. You don't have any questions?
I'm saving mine for my private session that I'm gonna schedule. The mind is
Okay.
working. It's
Well,
working.
Now, Westland, what do you do in your profession?
So I got a couple different ones. I'm a community engagement manager for a nonprofit in Des Moines that provides technical and capital resources to Black-owned businesses.
Okay.
And then I'm also a HAB overnight supervisor. But in that, I serve on a couple different boards in Des Moines, and just had a meeting with another nonprofit with a partner of mine to open up a homeless shelter here in Des Moines.
See, that's why I said you're a mover and shaker. That's why I'm surprised you haven't-
So she's with me listening to the call. So when you'll be getting an email for us to set up our time. So I'm just taking it all in, and I appreciate it. I hope that you do. I had never seen the free Q&A on the first Friday. So I'm hoping you give us another shot, because I'm gonna start inviting people to the call. So I give us another month. Give us another
I'll give
month.
it another month.
Thank you.
And I know Beverly really wants that, and Beverly,
Oh,
you
I
know,
do.
Gail is faithful. So I'll give it another month.
Thank you. And I don't know, I guess, I don't know if Westland knows about your classes. Are you doing any more classes coming up?
I am, now that I'm past the funeral and everything, the
Funeral? Who passed away?
that you always heard me talk about, she passed away.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't do good to talk about that right now.
okay.
But yeah, so we just had that. And so I'm getting ready. Yeah, we're looking at the dates and stuff now. And so I'm getting ready. I'm just finishing a grant writing masterclass right now. They're on their class number 5, I think. So we have one more class. But I'm setting new dates that are coming up because the school year is coming, and I've got a couple of teachers that have asked. So I'll be coming up with some new dates pretty soon. Okay.
Do you do counseling, like, like a weekly something to give direction as we're moving forward? And if you do, what are your rates like?
Well, I have business coaching that I do on a monthly basis. The lowest rate I have is $400 a month, and we would meet weekly. And I coach from reviewing grants to doing board trainings. Depends on what the client needs. Yeah.
And I can vouch for the classes. They're great. So that's actually a very, I think, cost-effective way to really get a good basic knowledge of grant writing and nonprofit development. So I'm gonna always let folks know about that, because
Yeah.
that's been
Because of
phenomenal.
the classes, you're not only, whether you take a nonprofit class, if you don't have your nonprofit, or you take the grant writing master class, you're still learning, you're gaining thorough knowledge on project development and community development, budgeting, nonprofit management. I mean, it covers a gamut of information versus just filling in a grant application, because if you don't learn all of those components, you're going to be lost as you move forward. And so, yeah, it covers all of that. The other thing is, I'm planning a like a 4-week component that will be offered for individuals that want to be on 2-hour sessions. But that's in the planning. So if you're on my database, or if you're on my website database, or if you're on my social media, you will get notification of that. But that's something else that we're planning, because some people need to go a little bit more in depth than being like on this 1-hour call or a 1-hour coaching call. So, all righty. Are there any other questions?
How long have you been where you are now? And how are
Since
you loving it?
I moved here on New Year's Eve, 2018, and it has changed my life, and I have never known the kind of joy that I have right here in this little bitty cabin. It's a tiny house. Back over there, you see there's a vintage camper back there. I'm on Hip Camp. And again, you guys, everything that I'm doing here is under my organization. Everything that is generated here, the revenue, is going toward project development, because I've already had cleared trees, and we're going to have youth camps here. But more importantly, what I'm really excited about is bringing executives here. Like, instead of having this kind of session and we're on Zoom, you'll come in for a 3-day retreat. And when you leave, like if it's the grant writing retreat, when you leave, you'll have your grant proposal written, or you will come here and we would do board development. Everything that I'm doing virtually, or that I normally would show up in person, I want to have here, but reconnect people to nature. Studies have shown that people are not being as successful because we've lost our connection also to nature. And when we can reconnect to what is natural, what is God-given, it makes a major difference in whatever we're doing in our lives. So that's why when you go to my website, let me just take you over to the screen. When you go to my website, I'm talking about reconnecting you to nature. And I wanted my site to even have a totally different look than normally what people expected. So, it's going over the land. When you come down, Join us at the Philanthropy Alliance Ranch, utilizing a more relaxed approach by offering future workshops and forums right here in nature. So coming soon, executive retreats, women's empowerment forums, wellness initiatives, wilderness event space, artist retreats. You guys, I didn't start painting until I moved here in the country, and actually sitting there in my great-grandfather's barn ignited me. But at the same time, everything from our grant writing masterclass, the dream team, on the air, Q&A with Sherita, which you guys are a part of now, the community arts initiative, all my passions are intertwined and operating under my organization. Let me just go down and scroll and show you some of my work. These are my paintings.
Oh,
Okay?
What? Did you know you could paint?
I did not, but I didn't call myself an artist. I've always sketched. And both my boys are artists because I bought them art supplies when they were little to keep them from drawing on my walls. So both of them are artists. But I had never picked up a brush. I had never painted. I'd always sketched. I'd done things in charcoal, but had never done that. And so these are my works.
Oh, they are. That's art. That's as good of art as I've seen anywhere.
Yeah, thank you. I've actually had my first art show in Los Angeles.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, that's all beautiful. Yeah. Oh my
So,
goodness.
but
Very nice.
also, now when she was talking about the multiple streams of income, when you come to the barnyard, first, all of you, especially watching me on my Facebook, have watched in the barnyard. And you've gotten to know Joy, the supervisor, and the rooster, and my general rooster, and Ali, the general. But the barnyard is talking about creating the free range petting zoo with the 40 chickens, 4 ducks, goats. I need to update it because I now have 3 goats and almost 60 chickens. But what does that create? It creates opportunities for our camping, which is also listed on Airbnb and Hip Camp. And it talks about, remember, there's a need. When you're going after grants, you talk about, what is the need? Well, and I even have here the report where it talks about, did you know that more than 15 million people went camping for the first time in the last 2 years? But there's a need for campsites, right? But then we're even making a difference, okay? We're bringing families back out, reconnecting them to nature. And I pulled the statistics on how that can impact and make a better and healthier family. So according to Campgrounds of America, camping helps with stress reduction. Fresh air has numerous benefits. Camping improves relationships. Camping promotes physical fitness. Get better sleep quality. Camping allows you to unplug, and on and on and on. And then I'm showing, okay, who's utilizing our camping? Okay. But at the same time, people know the history of this tree that has been here for more than 250 years, based on the forestry department that has come out here and collaborated. This house is where my grandmother and her 13 siblings were born. Michelle and Wesleyan are a part of this heritage. Their it's your great-grandparents, right? No, Michelle, your grandparents, you and Wesleyan, your grandparents came out of this house, like me. Okay? And
Yes, yep.
so we talk about how many stories have been told under this tree. Our family reunion, we just took pictures under this tree. And so our campers come here because of the heritage that I talk about. We have RV sites. They get eggs from our girls. So as I'm showing this, you guys, I'm going to get funding to feed our chickens because our chickens are part of this whole experience. Our goats are part of this whole experience. Okay? And this is what I'm teaching others to do. I don't want to keep this information to myself. That's no fun. And so then let me show you, people know Gladys Kravitz and what has happened to her. She recently broke her hip, and they've watched her when I'm watering and why she has the name Gladys Kravitz. Because many of you may not know Bewitched, but those that are familiar with Bewitched, the nosy neighbor across the street was Mrs. Kravitz. Well, that's why this chicken got her name, because she's nosy. She won't let me do anything without checking out what's going on. Well, Gladys Kravitz recently got a broken hip some kind of way. I can't tell you how many people on my social media is asking, how is Gladys Kravitz? Okay? And so you guys use your social media, because social media is it is the billboard to the world. If someone was going to give you a billboard in Hollywood, you would pay for it. But use social media because it is your billboard to the world. And what are you paying for it? Okay? So make sure that your posts are intentional. They're fun, but they're intentional. And I'm having fun doing it. You guys, I've always been a picture person. Nothing makes me happier than being able to now share let me turn this off. I want you to see this little guy. This family had never gone camping before, and now they're coming back, okay? So let's see.
See trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom from the to myself.
And Peter will never forget this, even though he's a little one.
And now they're taking those same eggs and making them for breakfast.
So pretty in the sky, awesome on the face, people going by. Does it bring shaking out, saying how can you do? They're really saying I love you.
Oh my God. That dog looks scary, but clearly he's not.
You know, only if you grab me. I mean, just at our family reunion, Michelle, you were here. He was walking around and laying around people, you know? And so no matter what your programs are, start showing what you're doing on social media, because what it's doing is it's showing them why now I want to have the camping here. If a grant funder goes and looks at my Facebook, they can see what I've already been doing and see the work that I put in. And so show them what you're doing, show along the way, and other people, you're encouraging others. I mean, I've had women to reach out to me and even have been on my class. Sherita, I always wanted chickens, but I was always afraid. I didn't know what to do. But then I've been watching you, and one of the ladies said now that she's retired, she has 10 chickens. You know, I was just talking about my family reunion, and you guys, we've gone past the time. So if you have to drop off, I understand. But I just want to show you how, use what you are doing to show where you are going. Oh, when I was telling you that my boys, I started them with art. This is a product of me getting them their art supplies. This is just one of the things that my son is doing. Where's the music?
Oh, wow.
He's now doing murals across the nation. He has done murals across LA for the mayor's office. He does, he paints like I do on canvases. When God has given you talents, you guys, he doesn't give you talents just because. There's no way that whatever talent you have, whatever passion you have, you can survive off of it. Okay? And that's what I show people how to do with grants. Okay? So I was going to show my family reunion. I want to show it where we are here on the land. Okay, here's that tree. And this is my best friend, Barb. We've been best friends since I was 4 and she was 5. So I don't have a family photo where Barb's not in our family photos. So we had bags that we were giving away. I have great neighbors that came. We had a hayride. But Michelle Westland, what we have, about 100 people that came for the reunion?
I would say so just by looking at it. I wasn't able to attend because I just got back from Miami.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking about, Michelle, is just seeing you at the funeral. And they
Oh, yeah.
ran right
Yeah.
into each other. I forgot that I didn't see you the next week
Yes.
at the reunion. So that's that tree, you guys. And that's my cousin Helen. She used to live in the house and she's telling the history. But there are people that came here that hadn't even been to Arkansas since ever, some of them, and some of them hadn't been here for 30 years. But by doing what I'm doing here on the land, this place is now becoming a bucket list stop for family that hadn't even considered coming back to this land. But everything that I do, you guys, I show the process. Like I'm showing the flyer that I made for the family reunion and coming. I'm showing us preparing for people. Well, that's us having drinks. But I'm showing us preparing for the reunion and getting ready for the hayride. I will show that the hayride was an in-kind donation from a neighbor that would have cost me $200. So when you show your in-kind, that also adds value because somebody believes in you, right? But I'm also showing because people love my animals. They know Ali, they know Layla, they know Joy. They also know Barb because I've shown that baby pictures of she and I all the way back to when we first became best friends. So when you make your posts, have intention behind them. And your post will show up for you when you start writing your grants. Okay? Everybody's being nosy because this is what's going on. But you know what else, you guys, my posts have done? There are people that would lock up their dogs before they let their chickens out. There are people that would lock up then they would go and let their chickens out, but the dogs are locked up. You know how much work that is? Are you kidding me? I'm not doing all that. If you all can't live together on this land, you can't live here. So create what's going to make your life easier with your programs and services or whatever. You design them and make them work for the way that you live your life. Okay? Because they all can fit. And all of it will fit into the layers of who you are. So anyway, I know I've done a lot of talking. I've gone 15 minutes over. You guys, thank you. And thank you for even asking for me to keep the class going. I'll let them know at the meeting that I'm going to have that there was a request. And look, you guys, it used to be in LA. You see what's driving by now? That's a tractor.
So doesn't mean
That's my traffic. That's the kind of traffic I want, doggone it.
is that what? Well, so when do you have regular meetings the same time every week?
This is every first Friday.
That's right.
I've been doing this for since I think last September. Every first Friday, I do this free Q&A.
And the link is the same?
No, because it changes because this one won't be available after this date. But you can go to my website. Matter of fact, if you go to my website, I'll put it in here and sign up for, just get on my database. I think you used to be on it, Deborah, and but I lost my database. That'll make me cry. I'm thinking about that. But I lost thousands of people. And so I sent out, let's see, where's the chat? I just put my website in the chat. Go there and sign up for the free info that we send out, and you'll get notifications of just whatever I send out. And you'll know when I'm doing the next free Q&A, but it's every first Friday.
Okay.
And thank you guys for being on over there in the room with Deborah.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
Deborah, how's your husband? God, I should remember his name.
Harry, he just walked out the door. He's doing great. He got a new hip.
Tell him hello and tell him I'm sorry
Oh no,
that I
he's
forgot his
good
name.
now. And I got a new hip 2 weeks ago, and I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
We're good now.
I've got so many pictures of us all together. I mean, you know, all those CEO space pictures.
Right.
But anyway, thank you guys for being on, and thank you for caring about this session. I
Well,
really have.
I'm so happy. I'm never on Facebook or anything, and I saw you on, I think it was Instagram, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get back with you. You're one of the most brilliant women I've ever met in life.
Oh, that's your mouth now, girl. I'm glad I don't have a hat on because my head would be boop, boop,
I've
boop,
been,
boop, 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 boop.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Make me bust my rubber band back here. Let me loosen my hair.
Amen to that. Amen to what you say. And so you got you got 5 people right in that little box right there.
Yeah, that counts. That counts. Doggone it. That counts. Well, see,
3 online. So
again,
this because I just found her, and I said, oh, we gotta get her. We gotta get her.
Yeah, again, see, even with me, I was going to write a grant to be able to do this, but expand it. But I needed to show that it is something that people want. Well, my numbers have been so low with people getting on. And I even was telling Marsha when I was first going to do this, I'm like, Marsha, look at my messenger. Look how many requests I get. So we thought that we would have a lot of people on, but it's not showing the numbers. So we thought, again, when you're going after funding, you have to show that it's a need. And if I'm not showing numbers, then why would somebody fund it? You know? Because one of the things that I would like to do is be able to offer more free sessions, because I remember when I was starting, I couldn't afford a lot of people that I needed their coaching. I couldn't afford them. And that's why I try to keep it low or do things like this so that I can help people to get started. But this is my time and energy too. And so if I'm not, see, I do research, though this is an hour call, depending on the questions, I might be researching for an hour. And as a small business owner and running my farm alone, I've got to have revenue coming in, you know. So, all right, you guys, I hope that you've learned something new. I hope that you've been inspired in some kind of way, because this is fun for me. And that's why I say your questions all, they feed into me and help me. It ignites me. But at the same time, I can't, if I'm ignited but hungry.
Right. That's why I was asking you. I don't know, and I'm not really I'm not a social media person. If there's a way that maybe you got your email on there, right? But I'm not really an email person either. I'd rather talk on the phone.
But you're going to have to start with social media. Everybody looks for you on social media, even funders.
But I'm talking about me with you and as a consultant and being a part of our team. Do you do something like that?
I do.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
So how can I get in touch with you, or should I just give you my number?
Out of that team, send me an email about sending you my coaching information.
Okay.
Now, out of that team that you have right there, you might have someone that's on social media all the time. So you can get a grant to just pay them a few $100s a month to keep you on social media and keep you up on what's happening on social media, which could lead them into a career if that's something they love doing. That's the thing. Grants should cover whatever you're needing that you may not like to do yourself, but it's needed for your business. Okay. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you so
Guys,
much.
have a wonderful weekend, and thank you for being on, and thank you for valuing this, and see you soon.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Take care.
All righty. Bye.